bobcats actually. When it comes to gardening, Larry and I somewhat disagree a good amount of coyotes. How do we best protect our chickens that we plan to get?
Hey guys, welcome back.
So today's video is going to look a little bit different from what you're used to seeing from us. This is really an update video going over some of the things that we're doing on the homestead, and also looking for some information from you guys and what your thoughts might be for some of the things that we've kind of run into. Basically, we've been working in the cabin. We're trying to get the current cabin finished out so we can do a nice walkthrough video for you guys and just take you from room to room and kind of show you what works in the cabin, what we realize doesn't work, and what we plan to change. But in the process of working on all of that, we lately have had some weather delays, which has been good because we need the rain that we've been getting. But the delays that we really didn't need, however, were vehicle maintenance and some repairs. We've talked about this, I think, in one of our other videos where we said, like, this will never pop up at a convenient time. I'm going to tell you now, it will never be at a good time. It wasn't in a break time, it's in the middle of doing projects. And when you have older vehicles, maintenance is extremely important, and also figuring out your repairs. We currently have 4 vehicles, 3 of which are on the road vehicles, one of which is more around the homestead, kind of a little truck that we have now. And of those 4 vehicles, all 4 vehicles have something going on with them and some maintenance needed at the same time. So to break that down, we have our 4Runner, that's the little blue vehicle that we have. And with it right now, we've got something going on. When it starts to come up the driveway, it's starting to run hot. Well, no, let me rephrase that. It's not actually running hot. Something smells like it is leaking some kind of oil or something, and it's hitting something, and that is what smells hot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We haven't figured out what that is, but that vehicle has over 250,000 miles on it. So we have that going on. Not a huge problem. The gauges, everything is normal within range. There's no check engine lights coming on or anything else. It's just something we're trying to be overly cautious of. And then as far as maintenance goes, it needs an oil change, it needs tires rotated, and it needs a new battery from the cold winter that we had. Moving on to the Dodge truck that we have. When we got that truck, it's a 2014. It has 196,000 miles on it. It already had a check engine light on. We had it scanned before we bought it. Felt confident that this would be something that we could work on and fix.
And we did that. Problem was corrected. Have a simple thermostat need to be changed out.
Now, however, we're starting to have some other issues. So we are thinking there's something, either fuel or
vacuum leak possible.
Vacuum leak possible, because when you crank it up, it kind of stutters and sounds like it's going to stall out. But then once it's warm enough, it's running just fine. But for that vehicle, that has not been normal, so we know that there's some issues there. And of course, it also needs an oil change,
tire rotation.
And tire rotation. So we're going to be...
At some point, we'll have a day of tire rotation on probably all vehicles.
And we're most likely going to try to work that around Melody's schedule, because we want her to know how to do her oil changes. Not that she should need to do it, but it's an important skill to know. And we also want her to know how to change out a tire, because that is a skill that everyone should know how to do. And then we have the Lexus SUV, which is basically a Toyota Land Cruiser. It has an issue in the front axle.
CV axle, driver's side CV axle needs to be replaced, which I've already done the passenger side before. So now it's the driver's side turn and oil change and tire rotation on that vehicle also. So
we've got all of that going on, and it's one of those things that just has to get done. The one that's probably slowing us up the most, however, for getting things done on the homestead, since we are in the throes of spring at this point, is
the tractor. When we bought our tractor, the gentleman told us, he's like, hey, pay attention to hydraulics. Probably in a year or so, he's like, you're going to have to address some issues there. And it had contaminated hydraulic oil when we got it, so no, changed that out twice. Try and get hydraulic fluid cleaned up and get the water out of it. Well, the gentleman happened to be very correct. It was just about a year of us having the tractor, and the 3-point does not want to lift up or go down. So we have to get a final diagnosis, see if we can figure it out, but it's looking like the hydraulic pump on the front of it needs to be changed out, plus fluid, filters, the whole 9 yards. So that's another project that we need to get to, so that way we can get ready to get running the bush hog, we can get the rotavator, we can get everything we want to do with the tractor done and going. Last year with the garden, we did kind of more very traditional garden. We rotavated the ground. We made a homemade bed shaper to make some raised beds, planted everything, and it worked. We obviously weed control when you're doing a garden that way is a huge challenge, but one of our biggest challenges last year was that we ended up being in a record drought for the state and for our area, and we don't have a well up here.
There's no pond.
So we relied on rainwater and collecting just a little bit of rainwater, but when we were still in the process of building everything, we didn't have, we were making choices. Do we continue to build to try to get the cabin done, or we're not focusing on the build and trying to save the garden? And we took a vote and we let the garden kind of do what it's going to do, and the strong will survive, and just went with that. And we did get some things out of it, and some things did fine.
We had a lot of zucchini.
Sunflower seeds, the birds this winter absolutely loved them because they did good with it. But no, this year we're hoping to make some changes, make some improvements. Still hope to do the same type of garden in that way, just because I enjoy doing it that way. But that also revolve around if the tractor can get fixed in time to get the ground ready to get everything in the ground.
When it comes to gardening, Larry and I somewhat disagree on what we would prefer. Larry grew up on a conventional orange grove, so as far as liking to look out and see the garden in like rows and being able to rotivate with the tractor and all of that, that is like home to him. Now, he doesn't like using the sprays or things like that he grew up with. I guess cancer will do that to you. But he does love the rows. And I will admit, it is very pretty to look out and see beautiful garden rows. It is very nice. At the same time, I personally would prefer container gardening, either little containers or like raised bed gardening, things like that, because it is easier for me to handle. I feel like I like things broken up, and I'm a very organized kind of person. And for me, it's like when it's in a raised bed like that, everything is very set and very organized as to what is what, where it goes, how it belongs. And I like that I can group things together. My degree is in alternative medicine, so I like growing different herbs for different things, or having, a raised bed that is like for teas and things like that. So I have an idea of what is where and how it's getting done. So that's something we're definitely going to be incorporating this year. We're kind of trying to combine what both of us really like and put that all together. Last year we had a couple of comments about weed cloth, and we didn't use any last year. The original thought was that we were going to be so on top of our garden well-made plans, that wasn't going to be an issue. But we also planted our garden. We were getting rain, and we ended up making a trip back to Florida to visit with our family and friends. And when we came back, we were in the middle of, or starting the drought, which became one of the highest droughts on record for West Virginia. And the area is still our area is in a slight drought already this year. And so we were just at that point fighting so many things. Like, the rains were just enough to make the weeds kind of overtake everything, but then not getting enough rain prevented our plants from being able to grow up above them. Some of our plants had grown enough that it was almost impossible to weed and hoe around them. So it was just a mess. And then if the weeds weren't enough, we had been warned about the deer. And it's not uncommon for us to have, half a dozen to a dozen deer at any time walking across this property. So we knew that they were present. We've dealt with deer before, and we were told, make sure that your fences go high enough, whatever. We put in an electric fence. Well, the deer issue that we had was unreal. They didn't care if we were out in the yard. They would jump into the garden and they destroyed our green beans. That would have been a nice crop that we had. But when you have 6 deer standing in your garden because they jumped in between the electric fence and then the perimeter fence that was around it, they mowed that down. Like, I wish they would have mowed down the rest of this yard here. And we just fought them constantly. So that is something that we have to figure out a better way, because clearly the electric fence didn't really bother them. I guess they liked the extra jolt before, they had their dinner or something. I don't even know. But it was just crazy how much they were in this garden. So with that, if you guys have any advice for dealing with this many deer up here, comment below, let us know. If you're in the same growing zone, or if you have a background with any of this and like certain crops that would be great for planting up here, let us know. Comment that below. We would love to have any information that you have. We love learning from other people.
One of the things we got started last year was our beehives. That has been another challenge for us this last year. One of the hives, by the time we got home, the box that we had the bees in shifted, so it wasn't as sealed as it needed to be. So we lost some bees along the way. It just started off as a weaker hive. We also had the bears come by and flip it on its side.
And sat on it.
So our bees dealt with a lot of challenges. Plus, I'm no expert beekeeper. I'm not even a good hobbyist yet. I'm just learning. And with everything last year, we've checked on it and did not make it through the winter. So coming up very shortly, we're going to be cleaning up around the beehives, getting it.
No, not we. That will be Larry, because I am allergic to bees. So if you ever wonder why you will probably never see me in a bee suit, or if you see me in the car with the windows up, that's why. But we do like the bees.
I will be cleaning up that beehive and cleaning around there, getting everything mowed up, and get ready for another nuke to get hive started. And hopefully this year things will go better and we'll be able to get our hives going and strong before the winter and better ready for the winter. And next year we'll be having some good honey.
In one of our previous videos, we talked about the possibility of getting some animals on the homestead. And I think we even did a Facebook poll on it a couple weeks ago, asking you guys what you thought we should get. And we have no intentions of taking on a ton of different animals. We're trying to do things one step at a time. So to let you know what we've decided on, we have chosen to get chickens for egg laying. And one of the things we have to really consider with this is that we have one of our 3 dogs is extremely prey driven, and he was a rescue on top of it, so I'm pretty sure that has something to do with it. But we committed to Buxley first, and we know already that he has the desire to chase after and to catch chickens. So with that, one of the things that we have talked about is, how do we best protect our chickens that we plan to get while simultaneously being fair to Buxley because of our commitment to him first. One, we work with a dog trainer, and so that is something that we will be working. That's Gage at Desired Canine. So we will be working with him to go over the best ways to help train Buxley to set him up on the right path and not set him up for failure with this. And then two, the other thing is we will make sure that our chickens are in a movable pen that is well sealed up, so that way they're not just out here free range, just, teasing and taunting him like he would think that they are. On top of that, we have a young eagle that is frequently on our property, as well as several hawks. So we already have other predators for the chickens. So we really, as much as we would love to just let chickens out and just kind of roam the property, we really want to protect the chickens and not have that become an issue.
Don't forget coyotes coming through.
Oh, and we have a good amount of coyotes. If you ever watch our shorts that we have done with our game camera footage, you'll see where we have shown the coyotes that are coming through. Actually, scratch that. We have not caught coyotes on the game camera yet. We hear them at night. I thought that we had. I guess maybe I should pay more attention to the videos. But we have heard them. There's a lot of them. But we have found, not coyotes, well, geez, bobcats actually. Yay, this is my morning where I can't talk. So we have caught bobcats on there, and that would also be something that could easily go after the chickens. So we definitely want to keep them protected.
He's a young one, but that's a coyote. Nope.
Let him howl. Go for it, howl. Get it, boy, get it.
So when it comes to chickens, do you have any great stories about breeds and preferences?
Yeah, I do. I have a love-hate relationship with Rhode Island Reds. This is based on cause and effect. As a kid, my grandparents up in Ocala had Rhode Island Reds, and as a kid I found great fun in chasing them, which I was clearly told was against the rules and we weren't allowed to do it, but that doesn't mean I listened.
What?
Yeah, it happens. So as a kid, me and my cousins would typically chase around the hens. And there were a couple of roosters, and they were huge. That's the reason we didn't chase the roosters around. We normally tried to keep them pinned up. Well, one day they got out, and in the process of chasing those hens around, we kind of got our butts handed to us by some Rhode Island Red roosters that were practically our size, and then we got our butts handed to us again by our parents. So that's my love-hate relationship with them. There was a cause and then there was an effect, and I learned it. But with that being said, that is probably the breed that we're kind of talking about getting, and that's for a couple reasons. One being that they are cold and heat tolerant. And in West Virginia, even though we do get 4 beautiful seasons, we do get very cold and we do also get very hot in the summertime, and we want to have a breed that is not going to have extra stress put on it because of those temperature fluctuations. So that's one reason. Two being the fact that they are very strong birds and do a very good job at protecting themselves. So that part is also very good. And the hens are very well known for being very broody, which can be dangerous in the sense of if you're messing with them, they can come after you, but at the same time, it also means that they're going to be protective moms. So that's always really good. We do plan to get them as chicks, and we will be handling them quite a bit. That way, if there's any health issues that come up or anything else, we can hopefully get a hold of them and handle them without getting torn up and having problems. But I do know that people have a tendency to either love or hate that breed, and I'm assuming for those reasons. So if you have any input for us before we make that final decision, because we're still several weeks out. We want to get some things prepared before we start that. But if you have any suggestions or thoughts, if you truly do have a terrible story or anything else that you want to warn us about, just let us know. But
Or a good story.
Or a good story, yeah. If you have a good story, because like I said, I truly have a love-hate. They were great chickens. I always remember collecting a ton of eggs with my grandmother. And like I said, if I would have been following the rules, I probably would not have had the issue that may or may not have happened more than once, because I can be a slow learner at times. I probably would not have had that problem. That's it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed this basically spring update of what we're working on and what our future plans are going to be. And like I said, we wanted to let you know that we have not forgotten about doing a cabin walkthrough. We're just having to combine a lot of things right now, but we will be getting that done within a couple of weeks.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We're going to leave you with some clips from the game camera.
If you would like access to exclusive videos and perks, click the link below to become a member.